Tony does inside.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome. I'm Mike Arning with True Speed Communication on behalf of everyone at GoDaddy, Stewart Haas Racing, Tony Stewart, and Danica Patrick want to say thank you for attending today's press conference. We'll go ahead and go over a couple housekeeping items first. Obviously, we'll let our folks speak. We'll then have a car unveiling. We'll stop briefly so that our video photogs and still photographers can get plenty of shots of that. And then we'll bring Danica and Tony back down for a Q&A session. And then afterward, when that's all wrapped up, we'll go ahead and make them available for one-on-ones. During that period, that will also serve as Tony Stewart's media availability for this weekend. So, without further ado, I'd like to introduce Tony Stewart and Danica Patrick front and center here in front of their soon-to-be unveiled race car. And Tony, it's been a heck of a week. A win Sunday at Martinsville, a sponsor announcement Tuesday at Stewart Haas Racing, number 3 on the speed charts here in opening practice at Texas, and now you get to announce some key components of Danica Patrick's 2012 Sprint Cup schedule. Take it away.
Yeah, life's good right now, so can't complain at all. This has been an awesome week, obviously, like you mentioned, Mike, getting the win at Martinsville, and just everything involved this week. And obviously, today is a huge day for us. This has been a long time coming, obviously, and I know the announcement came out earlier about our partnership with Danica, but it's really nice to be here today and to be able to unveil the car in front of you guys and be able to fill you in on the schedule for this year. So pretty excited. It's been a really, really good week, like we mentioned, and obviously a great start to the day. So we say it's like the Matt Kenseth deal here. If you qualify up front here, normally that means you're going to have a good race. So we're pretty excited so far with the week.
Excellent. And Tony, if you want to go ahead and let folks know what her races are and I guess the methodology behind those races.
Yeah, and just to kind of give you guys a background of what we did is we took the whole schedule and tried to find races that we thought were going to be, I guess to a certain degree, really challenging for her. So we wanted to pick tracks that we thought we needed to put some emphasis on. Obviously, her partnership in the Nationwide Series with Junior Motorsports next year and getting to run the whole Nationwide schedule helps a lot. And that was a factor, too, knowing which racetracks she was going to get to participate in and which ones that she wasn't. But we're going to definitely start off with the Daytona 500, obviously, in February. Go to Darlington, then wait till the Bristol night race in the fall. Atlanta, Chicagoland in September, the Dover race in September, then here in Texas in November, and Phoenix in November. And I know those of you that are math majors realize that's 8 races. Some of you didn't know that, and we're going to figure it out later on, so I'm going to help you all now. But we're keeping 2 dates open right now just to make sure that we'll see how the start of the season goes and make sure that we can kind of call an audible, so to speak, that if we see a place or that Danica feels like there's a track that she felt like she struggled at, that we have that flexibility to plug those 2 dates in. So we will run 10 full races with her, but we're going to set these first 8 races in stone, and then we'll have a little flexibility to run the other 2.
All right, and Danica, a 10-race schedule, 8 of which are known on a pretty wide array of tracks. Your thoughts going into this?
Oh, boy. Darlington will be a handful. I actually enjoyed Bristol, but I'm betting that once I get out there with you guys, it's going to be a whole nother level. And, I know Atlanta's pretty challenging and has some unique characteristics. Is this correct? Yes.
Definitely.
Dover was a handful last year. So anyway, but, we'll be at Chicago and Texas, which are places I feel a little bit more comfortable. But, I know this is a fast track, a fast mile and a half, so it's good to get that experience. And I'm excited. I mean, there's a lot I'm worried for, but on the other hand, as I've kind of felt with my nationwide races so far is that, and in particular, of course, the more difficult tracks, is that expectation levels sometimes are not quite as high. So, you have the ability to make mistakes, and that's the plan, is that there's going to be mistakes and there's going to be learning curves, and, to get that out of the way before we try and do this full time and really try and put it together. So it's about making the most complete future possible with the limited schedule of experience. So thanks a lot, Tony.
And Tony, if there's anyone who knows what Danica has in front of her, it's you. 4 USAC championships, an IZOD IndyCar Series championship, all before 2 Sprint Cup championships. And if ever was a roadmap to successfully navigate from open wheel to stock cars, you've probably done it. Is that accurate?
I would like to think so, but it's been a fun journey for me, and I think that's what's going to make this such a fun journey with Danica, is knowing that the things that she's going to be experiencing, going from the Indy cars to the Cup cars, the same thing that I had to go through too. So it's a nice feeling for me knowing that when she talks about something, I'm going to understand it from firsthand experience. But I'm just worried about how far into this 10-race deal it's going to be before she absolutely hates me because of where I'm sending her. But like we mentioned, this is all in an effort to get ready for 2013, and if it was easy, it wouldn't be worth doing, obviously. So it's part of the learning curve. My job in the equation is to make sure that she wants to win at everything she does. She wants to beat me to the appearances and everything else. So the big thing is just keeping everything in mind that it's a learning year next year, and the experience that she's going to gain at these racetracks, it's hard to get that by doing anything else other than going there and learning by putting laps in. So it's an aggressive schedule and an ambitious one for somebody that hasn't been in a Cup car yet, but at the same time, to compete at this level, you're going to have to be good at these tracks, and that's why we selected them.
As long as you'll be right there by my side, holding my hand, we'll get through this.
As much as I can. It's going to be hard to hold your hand while you're dragging me down the road. So.
And Danica, on that
we worked
note,
pretty well at Daytona. So.
On that note, when you began looking at NASCAR as a career choice, how helpful was Tony in letting you know what there was to expect out there?
Well, we've known each other for a really long time. I remember seeing you at convention-like places, and I would always be with my dad. Usually, and be like, "Wow, that's Tony Stewart right there," and we have,
Is that exactly how you said it?
I don't normally blush, but I almost felt like I did. Yeah, because we'd be whispering because you'd be right there.
That's funny.
So it'd be about like
I'd
that.
see you at appearances. I'd go, "That's Danica Patrick."
Well, I know we've talked many times over the last, I don't know how long, 5 to 10 years that we've really known each other, and I think that the real benefit's going to come right now when I get to do this and drive for you and be able to ask a lot of questions and get answers and get help. I mean, that's what I need. I felt like in this whole process, I'm like, come on, what do you got to tell me? I'm ready for any advice I can possibly get, and I'll try and do the best job possible to do it. But yeah, I mean, we've definitely known each other a long time, but this is going to be the most important time.
All right. Well, it wouldn't be a press conference without a car unveiling. So we'll allow our folks to come on up here and take the wraps off the GoDaddy.com Chevrolet Impala, and we'll let everyone kind of get situated. And we'll also leave plenty of time for our still photogs and our video photogs to get plenty of B-roll. Folks, are there any other shots that you need before we start our Q&A? Are we good? Good. We're good. Great. Thank you very much. Let's get this straight back in. Awesome.
You like how I cleverly tried to hold my hair over my arm?
And Danica, you were just saying how you got to pick your own number.
Yeah.
There is a history here with the number 10. Tell us a little bit about it.
Well, my favorite number's always been number 10. I drove the number 10 go-kart when I was a kid until I went to Europe and then onwards and so forth. And in IndyCar, you tend to run just the numbers that the team has. So this is the first time I've ever, in a car, in my professional career, ever been able to choose a number. And then to have the history of your team and you being able to run the 14, which was your go-kart number, and the 39 was Ryan's go-kart number, and seeing those big blown-up black and white photos of your old go-kart, you in the go-kart, was just really cool. So this is really neat for me. It's just the first time that I've ever been able to put a number on my car that I chose and I like and has emotion to it. Other than that, it's been emotion that I've created, like, lucky number 7 or something. So it's very cool for me. I'm really excited. I'm excited to see my big go-kart picture hanging up in the race shop. I'm going to do mine in color, though, probably.
Yeah, believe it or not, they actually had color film when I raced go-karts, too.
Then, never mind then. Sorry, my mistake.
This isn't going to be any fun. I do want to say this, though. Working with everybody at GoDaddy.com so far and Stewart Haas Racing, this was a long, long road to get this package put together, and I'm very appreciative to everybody at GoDaddy and all of our people at Stewart Haas Racing that have done an awesome job to put this program together. And this is, like we just said, we're going to have a lot of fun with this. So
we are. And you said it's been a long time coming. We've been talking for a long time, and between you and Eddie and Brett and GoDaddy being supportive of me has been, like I said earlier today, having someone to back you on what you want to do. I'm really fortunate. There's not very many people in my position that just get to choose where they want to go. And to be honest, I didn't talk to anybody else. This was what we wanted to do. So it was very cool.
All right, GoDaddy, of course, the world's largest hosting provider and domain name registrar, and a couple other anecdotes on the number 10. The number 10 in NASCAR Sprint Cup Series competition has 10 total wins, including the 1990 Daytona 500. Ricky Rudd leads all drivers who have piloted the number 10 with 6. And Bill Champion has the most starts in the number 10 with 244. Last victory for the number 10, Johnny Benson back at Rockingham in November 2002. We'll go ahead and open it up for questions. Again, if you can state your name and affiliation, we'll take as many as we can. Obviously, Danica can be here for a bit. Tony does have Sprint Cup qualifying at 3:40, so we'll get him out of here at probably around 3:30. We'll go ahead and, Bruce, we'll start right with you.
Looking at the schedule, it seems to... Bruce Martin, SI.com. Looking at the schedule, seems to be heavily loaded at the tail end of the schedule. How much is that going to help you with all the... By then, you will have run every week in Nationwide. How much will that help you to have your Cup career kind of... most of the races are going to be at the back half of the schedule.
Well, now that you mention that, actually, it makes me think about the fact that we'll have time to even go testing and do some things like that, which we haven't done yet. So I think it's good. I think that any time you're trying to lead into the next year with something, you're trying to do the most you can at the end of the year, as close to the next season as possible, and that being our goal to run the next year. Yeah, I mean, it's I'm still running for the Nationwide Championship and still want to do really well in that. So it's good. It's actually even a little bit more broken up at the end of the year than I would have even maybe guessed it would be. But I think it's a nice schedule, and I think it's going to add plenty of variety.
Mark Garrow, PRN, over here in the corner. You start off with the Daytona 500 for a non-top 35 car. It's maybe the hardest race to qualify for the whole season. Can you talk about that, or do you have a plan afoot to get some points and grab a guaranteed spot?
At this point in time, if we need to qualify, we'll qualify. That's that. I mean, I have a lot of I have a lot of faith in the team, and that's why I chose them. And they worked hard to make that happen as well. It's not just a one-way street. But it's, that was part of the reasoning, is they're a really good team. Obviously, I mean, Tony's running for the championship these last 3 races, so. I don't have any doubt that the car will be fast enough, and so if we need to qualify, we will. And if that doesn't happen, then we'll use the duels, right? No, yeah. I'm learning. There's something else before, and I didn't want to mix them up with the other races.
Dave?
Yeah, Tony, Dave Rodman, NASCAR.com. If the crew chief selection is not done yet, where's that process at, and what role will Danica play as far as selecting that person, please?
We're in that process right now, actually. It's like we've talked about it. The higher up in the organization you get, the fewer people there are, and it's trying to find the right fit. And, I guess as a driver, I know, and I've been lucky enough to just have 2 crew chiefs over my Cup career, but it's very much a marriage, and it's finding the right personalities to work together. And so, we have half of that equation, and it's just we are trying to find the right crew chief that's going to be the right fit for right now, and work with Ryan and myself and our crew chiefs. So, I would love to say that I had all that done already, but it's still a work in progress. But that process has started.
Okay.
Wolfgang Monser from German Ranchport Press Agency. Question for you, Danica. Also, from next year onwards, you will be now focused in the NASCAR business. In long or in short-term future, is there maybe a little possibility you do some maybe selected appearance in open-wheel IndyCar racing again?
Select as in maybe Indy 500, but that's it. And I'd like to do that, but we don't know yet.
Go ahead, Claire.
Claire B. Lang, Sirius XM NASCAR Radio. I think everybody wanted you to race this Daytona 500, so it's really exciting. But from both of you, that is such a huge attention race. And does the thought enter that putting you in your first race with all that attention will be really, really tough? Or do you feel like you get so much attention anyway?
It was either that or Darlington. You made a great decision, Tony.
Tony?
No, I got a chance to run with her in July at Daytona in a nationwide race, and she did a great job. I mean, and I think that was part of the reasoning that we felt more comfortable taking her down to the 500. I mean, obviously it's our biggest race of the year, so the exposure that GoDaddy will get and the whole organization will get is huge. But she's ready for that. I mean, it's, the Daytona and Talladega races are a different animal anyway, but the way that she ran the July race at Daytona gave me the confidence that Daytona wasn't too soon, that she'll be able to do a good job. And, if we do our jobs and build her a car that's fast enough, we won't have to worry about racing our way in through the qualifiers. But if so, she's got 2 teammates that'll do everything they can to get her in there. So, like I said, she did a good enough job that's what gave us the confidence that Daytona was okay to start with.
Dean McNulty, Toronto Sun. Danica, you talked just a little bit about testing. Will you be able to get into the Cup car any place on a test track before Daytona?
Boss?
Yeah, I have plans to do that. I mean, we don't know exactly where it's going to be at yet, but it's definitely advantageous for us and just for little things like getting your seat, getting pedals, just little things that really don't necessarily make the race car go faster, but it's little things that you don't want to have to do at the racetrack. So if nothing else, just going for a couple days and just if we can get that crew chief lined out sooner than later, it's a good opportunity for them to get working together and get their communication in order and just get those little fine details that you don't want to have to worry about at Daytona. It's going to be a busy enough schedule, obviously, for her when she gets down there, so you try to get some of those variables out of the equation before you get down there.
Okay, Lewis.
Lewis, Frank Reuters. Danica, you've run 500 miles before, but next year you got at least 3 opportunities to run 800 miles and in different cars. So how do you approach that, something new, being in 2 different cars in one weekend?
Some of these races are 800 miles?
Well, you got nationwide and...
You mean 800 miles of practice on a weekend?
Yeah.
Yeah, NASCAR has some pretty big ideas, but that's not it yet. So.
Let's not let them have that idea for sure. I heard that you put snacks in the car, and I thought that was a joke. But is that true? Do some people put? No. Okay.
I don't put snacks. I load up before the race. So. I eat more than your body weight is before the race. So I can make it.
Vanilla wafers.
Oreos.
Oh.
I shouldn't be telling that because Carl will be
Sorry.
loading up on them this weekend now. But
Do you twist them or do you
no, I don't
Dunk
waste the
'em?
energy. I just go right to the
just
mouth.
go in?
Yeah.
One bite or two?
One. It's all about being efficient. So.
Well, it's going to be lots of miles, and I think that's the point. Is especially a place like Darlington. Tony Jr. was talking to me about. We were kind of talking about the races and which ones and why you would do ones and why you wouldn't do others, and he explained that sometimes the Cup guys do nationwide races at tracks that they might just want laps, like just a lap track, which he used the example. Darlington's one of those, or just get more laps, the better. And then sometimes they do them for races that they just think are fun, where they're going to have a good time doing it. But in my situation, I need to do laps. I need more laps at difficult tracks, and so I hope that helps. I hope that. I've heard it can get a little confusing between the two cars, but I didn't know the difference between the old car and the new car in the Nationwide series, so I don't know what that means, but I guess ignorance is bliss sometimes, maybe.
And Marty?
Marty Smith, ESPN, for both of you. I noticed no Brickyard. Is that one of the two races you're contemplating, and if not, why did you choose not to run Indy?
Well, the great thing is nationwide races at the Brickyard. So that's cool to get that experience and run there. Somebody actually asked me that question if I was going to run there, and I was like, wow, that's a good question. I kind of didn't really, I evaluated the whole season by idea, but I suppose I think of tracks that I haven't been to, and I think of tracks that I'm not visually familiar with, and I'm not familiar with the way that the car handles, which I won't know how the car handles because I'm, used to not lifting there, but oddly enough, when we came to your shop a long time ago, I saw some data from Indianapolis, so I think I've got that memorized in my head. It's never mind. But I don't know. What do you think about it?
Now, like we said, you had to sit down and look at the schedule and try to think of what were the best opportunities to get her the best experience, and it wasn't. We weren't trying to be disrespectful to Indy by any means, but it's a track that she already has a ton of laps around, so she knows that place inside and out. We wanted to take her to tracks that she hasn't been to, tracks that we know historically take longer to learn than just one race. So, having that opportunity for her to run a nationwide car and a Cup car in a weekend at some of these tracks is a big advantage, going into a full-time schedule. So it wasn't that we didn't want to take her to the Brickyard, and it doesn't mean that we still may not. But at the same time, the races that we selected were very well thought out, and for the reason of just saying we know that historically it takes longer to learn at these tracks than others, so that's why we chose them.
Dave, do you have one?
Yeah, Tony, with a lot of these things being day-to-day and liquid situations, Mark Martin announced his deal for next year this morning. Have you and your group set a backline date up to which you can consider running this 10 car in more than Danica's 10 race schedule?
Well, we're still hopeful that days like today will, spark interest in doing that. It's very advantageous for us to go ahead and run that team full time next year if at all possible. So, our group at SHR hasn't given up on that opportunity. I don't know that we'll really set a drop dead date. We're going to do everything we can until we feel like that we're at a point where we can't. But I'm not sure that we've actually said that we haven't set that date. So, having GoDaddy on the car obviously is great for the 10 races next year, and for 2013, we had a great announcement earlier this week, and we still have 8 races on Ryan's car. We have some associate-sponsored races on Danica's cars left. So, it's still a work in progress, but it's, I would love to be able to say, yeah, we could make that deal happen sooner than later also. But it is our goal to try to do everything we can to run this car full time. I think that's best case scenario for the organization, just to have those guys and that group in place and have them working every week. So we're putting the full court press on that right now.
Bob Hock, Christine Daly. Danica, you had such a good time, it sounded like, at Daytona in July at the nationwide race. Can you talk just about running there and making your debut there? Is it a track that you feel comfortable with? And also, any chance there's a test there in 2 weeks? Or can you get her in that test there in 2 weeks?
I didn't even know there was a test there till somebody said something about it yesterday, actually. I didn't know there was a test there in 2 weeks, but I don't think we have plans to go to that yet, but we obviously will look at it, and if at all possible, we'd love to take her.
Yeah, I mean, it's Daytona's a very cool place, and you can definitely feel the history, and it's enjoyable to run there. It's definitely a different kind of racing, but it's a lot of fun, especially when you have a good partner, and especially when you go to the front. So, I don't know if I completely feel like bump drafting is a natural thing, but especially being the one pushing because you just can't see. But the process is interesting, and I like it, and it's something different, and I feel comfortable there. And I think that the summer race was a really good turning point for me, feeling comfortable, really comfortable at a track. And I know when I went there at the beginning of the year in February, not everyone really bump drafted, and some of them kind of figured it out as the race went on, but it was pretty clear by the end of that if you weren't bump drafting, you were not going to have a chance to win. And so I knew that going back for the summer race that was going to be mission number one, was to get comfortable doing that and get good at doing that. And Eric, my teammate Eric Omaroli, he said that, okay, so I'll get out there and I'll start pushing. I'm like, can I just have one lap, because I haven't been in the car since Vegas. So I go around one lap, and I managed to put Tony's beautiful, perfect car in the wall in turn one on the second lap, start of the second lap, but caught on to it. And, like I said this earlier, but I think Tony and I ran really well. I mean, I thought we were the fastest cars out there. So, that's always exciting. It's always good to look forward to, and it's nice to do well at places like Daytona.
Any other questions? All right, there are a lot of you, so what we'll do, we'll spread the directors' chairs apart a little bit. We will make both Danica and Tony available for some one-on-ones. Please be considerate of your fellow journalists. There's a lot of you in a very small space down here in front of us. Thank you, everyone. We appreciate your time.